Welcome.
What is that on my face? Why am I breaking out of it? Has my face always looked like this? Am I balding? What do I feel like I'm putting on some pounds? My son!
Who is that? Father? Welcome to the light side of the internet, because I forgot to say that last time. Sorry. It seems like almost everyone these days has body image issues. And if my favorite vintage Disney movie is something to go off of, we have been plagued by body image issues for thousands of years now. Because how the hell am I supposed to compete with this? Not this. This. But now that we all live in a time of late stage capitalism, people's perception of their own body image has been weaponized in order to sell us stuff. I mean, weaponizing body image issues has been the literal business model of Victoria's Secret for decades now. I don't know who the fuck Victoria is, but I'm pretty sure she's an old man living in Ohio, and when I find her, I'm gonna beat his ass. And despite this video's title, obviously body negativity is not a problem that is exclusive to Gen Z. During the 90s and early 2000s, the diet industry was booming and unrealistic thinness was the norm. During the 60s, Marilyn Monroe's hourglass figure was the most sought after body type, coinciding with a rise in plastic surgery. And in the 1940s, soldiers said this in regards to women: to look unattractive these days is downright morale breaking and should be considered treason. The spy could be in this very room. It could be you. It could be me. It could even be... Oh yeah, it's probably that guy. But I think out of all the generations, Gen Z's unique position of never truly knowing what an adult reality is without social media has truly destroyed a good chunk of my generation's perception of their own body image. We have moved past millennials' 1080p body images. We are now deep into Gen Z 4K Ultra HD body images. So crisp. And I can give you all these statistics about how 70% of people aged 18 to 24 feel self-conscious after looking at images on social media, or how 80% of Gen Z girls have been on a diet before the age of 10, or how these days people under 25 have gotten Botox and dermal fillers at twice the rate of the general population. I can tell you all of these boring statistics with all these boring charts and graphs I spent an hour making, or I can just show you. And by show, I obviously mean the shit show that was the show Love Island USA Season 7.
I'm a mommy.
Mommy?
I'm a mom.
Mamacita.
I made the decision to watch Love Island after careful consideration, peer pressure, and FOMO this season. If you're part of the population that is employed, Love Island is a dating show where they put a group of very attractive women and a group of very attractive men into a villa. It's kind of like the Hunger Games, except if the sponsors were Skims and Maybelline instead of pompous rich people. And instead of trying to Fortnite sound each other, they're trying to, well, each other. Now, the contestants, or islanders, are supposed to represent the ideals of physical attractiveness in the US. And what I mean by that is, it's going on for a while. And what I mean by that is, you may not necessarily be attracted to them personally, but you can see that they are objectively very physically attractive people, except for Pepe. I don't think anyone is not attracted to Pepe. But there is one thing I noticed when I was watching this show. Almost all the women have had work done. Yeah, almost all of the women who are all solidly Gen Z have either had nose jobs, lip fillers, BBLs, and on top of that, Love Island even adds a beauty filter onto all of their episodes. Like, look at the difference between episode 26, which was not sponsored by Maybelline, and episode 27, which was sponsored by Maybelline. Fun fact, the FTC does not allow you to put beauty filters on any content that is sponsored by a beauty product. Fun question, why the fuck are we putting beauty filters on objectively some of the most physically attractive people in the first place? So what's basically happening here is, in a show that has been watched by over 355 million people and is supposed to have contestants that represent the ideals of Gen Z beauty, primarily has contestants that all have work done on them, and then they still put beauty filters on them. If that doesn't tell you that Gen Z has a body image crisis, I don't know what does. Besides the charts I gave you. Of all the Love Island contestants that has showed up on this season, the most striking case was Vanna, who is a 21-year-old influencer who was absolutely dragged for the fillers she has. Now, it's not actually 100% clear whether or not she actually had the amount of work that the internet said she did, especially since her tell-all on Nick Viall's podcast.
I'm okay. Like, I'm very secure in myself. And most of the things that people thought I got done, like my cheeks and my chin, my lips, duh, I got my lips done, and I like my lips. But my cheeks and my chin I've had for life.
Born with it.
And people were saying like, overfilled. You guys, I was sleeping on a feather pillow. I was having an allergic reaction every single day.
Look, I am no expert on allergic reactions or cheek and chin fillers. All I'm saying is, I have never seen an allergic reaction look exactly like cheek and chin fillers. But that's beside the point. While I don't condone the absolute tomato pelting that Vanna got on social media, I do think she is a very interesting case study on the new way that Gen Z perceives their body image. If you take a look at Vanna's Instagram page, almost every single photo is a face towards camera shot. And objectively, slay. But when you look at her on Love Island, it's almost like two completely different people. This is something called facial dysmorphia, or alternatively, Snapchat dysmorphia, which is a problem that's unique to a generation that grew up on face filters and Instagram. The face that you see in your selfies is not the same face that you see in real life. You're going to have different lighting conditions, different perspectives, or like people looking at you from the side. If you're going to judge your appearance off of the telescopic viewpoint of your phone camera, you're not really gonna see the full picture. Basically what I'm saying is, don't min-max your character build to solely optimize for Instagram. Yes, I have been playing a lot of Baldur's Gate 3, how can you tell? But it's not just physical traits that are feeding to Gen Z's body image issues, it's lifestyle traits as well.
This is exactly how you're going to become a clean girl. If you don't know what to wear, always go with the sandwich method. You can't be a clean girl without smelling good. First, you spray it under your arms. You can do it, but always having your nails done just is the definition of clean girl. I'm so obsessed with my jewelry, chains, and then this thin chain looks so good. Use a skincare product just because it's trendy. Just as important is hair care. When you think of a clean girl, you think of really nice, healthy hair. One of my biggest tips, but focus on the 2 out of 3 method.
Oh. I was never ugly, I was just poor. Guys and gals, but mostly gals, old money is out, clean girl is in. The clean girl aesthetic has been popping up on my feed a concerning number of times. Not so much because I'm obviously a boy and not a girl, but more so that I am more rap boy aesthetic and not clean girl aesthetic. I suppose it's a sign from the algorithm gods that I should talk about it. The clean girl aesthetic is defined by the slick back straight hair, seemingly effortless makeup, slick back straight hair, subtly pure, glowing, glassy skin, slick back straight hair, Pilates, yoga, matcha. Did I mention the slick back straight hair? It's an aesthetic that wants to give the perception of low effort and simplicity, but actually requires a lot of genetics, diet, luck, effort, and a 5-year backlog of Klarna payments.
For example, if your hair is looking absolutely tragic that day, then focus on getting a nice outfit and then having a really nice day.
10-year backlog. My take on this was initially, considering the fact that the vast majority of creators look like this, it was just setting up another unrealistic beauty standard for people who had blue eyes, blonde hair, and trust fund. I'm getting my brain rot mixed up again. But then I wondered, is this actually problematic? Or is this just a very specific aesthetic for a very specific demographic of people? Namely, conventionally attractive, skinny, blonde, white women. And while that was my initial conclusion, there was something that just bothered me about it still. And that was when my vast mental encyclopedia of facts brought back to me the age-old question of, why does British food taste so fucking bland? And this is a great time to introduce a new segment I like to call What foods are British people known for? That's right, jellied eels, meat pies, fish and chips. For a society that literally built an entire empire on the spice trade, the Isles really do have some sorry excuses for cuisine. That's like if House Atreides actually managed to secure Arrakis, but only use it as a tourist trap for sandworm enthusiasts. Yup, so I just got all the sandworm merchandise that we ordered. Yo, awesome! These look great! And you're sure that mercs means merchandise here and not mercenaries, right? ocean. So why is it that the best English cuisine is Indian cuisine? You see, back in the medieval times, spice was extremely expensive to obtain and only available to the ultra wealthy. Having paprika sprinkled onto your ham is a modern day equivalent of jumping out of your Bugatti with an Hermes bag. However, as time went on and trade increased, spices became more and more accessible to the general population, or as aristocrats like to call them, the poors. As a result, partially because they wanted to be different from their serfs, and partially because they're just huge assholes, the European aristocracy began to not use things that gave their food richness, variety, flavor, considering high quality European cuisine to have muted and subtle tastes because their own tastes were so pure and refrained. So instead of having tikka masalas, we have meat pies. Sick. Literally. And then it hit me. Muted and subtle, pure and refrained. Could it be that the clean girl aesthetic is not actually an aesthetic at all, but rather the complete lack of one? No, actually, I'll go even further. The clean girl aesthetic is the purest form of conforming to a beauty standard that there is. It is the literal personification of Gen Z's body image issues. Or as my researcher put it, clean girl is giving flavor purity culture. I mean, look at all of these. The fact that they all do Pilates and yoga. The fact that they all wear the same color jewelry, muted color palettes, and the fact that they all have slick back straight hair. The clean girl aesthetic is the meat pie of aesthetics. One that removes all individuality and spice. And sometimes we don't want just a meat pie. We want to have things past meat, mayhaps outside the box meat, perchance Beyond Meat.
You can't just use perchance.
This video is sponsored by Beyond Meat. As someone who is very health conscious and struggles to get a balanced diet every day, thank you Adderall for destroying my appetite, I'm usually hard pressed to find healthy options that also help me hit my protein goals. Because how the hell am I supposed to get 180 grams of protein in my body every single day without the steroids and chemicals that are found in commercially available meat? I think this is where we're supposed to go to. Thankfully, Beyond Meat has reached out to partner with me in these trying times. Beyond Meat is made with simple ingredients like peas and rice, rather than obscure chemicals like Red 40. So it helps me reach my protein goals and get the 38 grams of fiber that I need daily. I mean, their Beyond Meat burger alone has 21 grams of protein in it, with only 2 grams of fat, free from any cholesterol, antibiotics, or growth hormones. You see, the process that Beyond Meat uses is actually not that complicated and very similar to the way that you use to make pasta, which processes foods like red lentils, avocado oil, and beans to help it get a meat-like texture. And look, I am by no means a vegan. Culturally, I am Chinese and I grew up eating meat. I mean, what are pot stickers without the pork filling? Or Panda Express without the orange chicken? But adding Beyond Meat into my diet has added a nice bit of variety without sacrificing any of the flavor or feel of my everyday dishes. So what are you waiting for? Go pick up some Beyond Meat to add a healthy, environmentally conscious option to your daily diet. Thank you to Beyond Meat for sponsoring today, and let's get back to the video. So as I was saying, there are plenty of other aesthetics with spice that are appealing. Aesthetics like granola or fairy core or crystal. Yeah, I might still be the problem. Up until this point, I've really only talked about things that affect women's perception of their own body image. And there's a good reason for that. I'm not saying men don't have body image issues. As a man who does struggle with that on a daily basis, I do have a lot to say about that. But as a man, I don't think it's a stretch to say that we are afforded a little bit more leniency when it comes to whether we're judged as attractive or not. Like, we have gym boy aesthetic, dad bod aesthetic, the biggest and the largest aesthetic, and the societal council would still potentially grant all of them the rank of Rizzler. But by and large, women are still tied to this narrow band of societal expectations when it comes to attractiveness. While unconventionally attractive men are put into their own unique groupings like rap boy or Victorian boy, the groupings that women are put into still require them to lean on the conventionally attractive side of things. The only difference is accessorization. And that's not really fair, a big accessory. Or society, I guess. So some women have taken this as a chance to turn the script by saying all men are unattractive.
So as we're all very much aware, we are living through a chopped man epidemic, and there's a
big shortage of baddies. It's gone so bad to the point that, like, if I see an attractive man, it genuinely makes my day. And he smiled back at me, and obviously he drove away after that. But I was like, oh my God, a cute guy? Wow, I actually saw an attractive man today. Like, diamond in the rough, needle in the haystack. Seriously.
This specific clip started an online gender war over whether or not men today were indeed chopped or not. There are people calling the woman making the video chopped. There are people making videos explaining why the woman is not chopped, and it's actually the men who are cooked. And there are rinsed people making videos about the fried people, making videos about the baked people. Is anyone else getting hungry here as well? Look, I'm not gonna get into whether or not he's chopped or she's chopped or they're chopped, because I think everybody who is getting rage baited by this is missing the goddamn point. Guys, this is just satire. Do you not see that this is just a mirror image of how alpha males talk about women?
I don't know who these women are messing with, but these new generation of women are just not okay in the head. Tell me why homegirls come through to get her back blown out.
Today's modern women are the most selfish women on the planet. It's all about me, me, me.
Have you noticed how the modern woman seems to have very high standards while at the same time bringing very little value?
So as we're all very much aware, we are living in a low value woman epidemic. And there's a big shortage of traditional values. It's the same energy. Okay, it's the same energy. But that's not to say there's not a hint of truth to what the chopped man girl is saying. Look, men throughout history have had the luxury of not having to worry that much about their physical appearance to have success in the dating market because we, for the longest time, held the financial power. But for Gen Z, that dynamic has actually reversed. In fact, considering that over 60% of all college students are now women, this shift has been happening for a while now. And with young women out-earning their male counterparts, traditional gender dynamics are losing the relevancy. So I guess it's just funny that instead of unshackling themselves from the traditional views of attractiveness, women now just push the same expectations that they have battled and struggled with for years onto men. Who said feminism isn't about equality? Because we now all equally hate our bodies. So in the midst of this new dating reality, men have taken it into their own hands and needles. If you hear a little thing, that's Taco in the background eating his food. I have a lot to clean up later.
I completed the 30-day tread challenge, and the results might just shock you. Starting this challenge wasn't easy, as it was difficult to find a reliable source of tread. Here's me on day one. For reference, I'm about 6'4", 160 pounds in these videos. While I was on tread, I felt amazing, as I could work out as much as I wanted and I would never feel tired at all. I have the most muscle that I've ever had while still looking really lean. I mean, it's just crazy how much progress you can make in just 30 days. If this video gets 1,000 likes, I'll keep taking tread and make a part 2.
No. How about we don't do that? This is a magic button. Cool, what does it do? Every time you push it, you gain a pound of muscle, but you also lose a year of... Damn. I want lean beef patty. The fitness industry is cooking the brains of young men. And no, I don't mean the 12 by 12 inch brick of eggs and meat that us gym boys like to call cooking. Nearly a quarter of adolescent boys these days have muscle dysmorphia. So many young men think their muscles are too small, or they have a bit too much fat, and why they look like this instead of this. And it's no wonder why. Fitness talk is no longer about fitness. It's about aesthetics. It's about size. It's about being chunky. Instead of fitness, it's try and fit in this shirt. Bet you can. And like many young people, we don't want to wait and be patient for the results. We want to look hot now. We want to get abs now. We want lean beef patty now. But building a physique is not something that could be done in a snap of a finger. And unless you have insane genetics, it takes time, effort, years of careful calorie and macro counting. Having a six-pack as a man with average genetics is basically centering your entire life around having a six-pack. It is impossible to achieve one without constantly obsessing about your diet and starving yourself. I have been working out for well over 10 years now, and I have a very mid physique. Granted, I also have body dysmorphia, and I probably could have eaten better 9 of those 10 years, but still. My bloodline is optimized for rice and dad bods, not protein and abs. Fortunately for me, I found Anabolic steroids.
Side effects may include nausea, acne, hair loss, oily skin, high blood pressure, low blood pressure, liver damage, heart palpitations, heart failure, alteration of brain chemistry, shrinking of balls, shrinking of shafts.
Just kidding. But despite all the very well documented negative side effects of stuff like tren, SARMs, and human growth hormone, there are more teens hopped up on gear than ever before, with nearly a quarter of all steroid users being under the age of 20. And just like everything else in this video, I blame social media. See, on one end of the influencer spectrum, you have people like the Trend Twins, who are people that I would like to define as gym gremlins because they seemingly only exist within the dark confines of a very poorly lit gymnasium. Also, they named themselves the Trend Twins, very on the oily, acne-covered trend nose. On the other end of the spectrum, we have people like Logan Dishman, who is a 17-year-old that at one point claimed to be vegan and natural, something that I knew was bullshit because I have things like eyes and balls, the latter of which Logan probably is lacking at this point. And it's really creators like Logan Dishman that are doing a lot of the harm for young men, because teenagers are seeing this and saying, I've been working out hard and I don't look like this guy. What's he doing that's different? Well, the difference between you and him is that you are a normal teenager and he is a lying piece of shit. Now, Logan did recently admit that he was indeed on steroids when he was hospitalized for going into septic shock after using a dirty needle during one of his injections. And in one of his Instagram posts, he claimed that one of the reasons he was lying about being natural was to, and I quote, prevent other teenagers my age to be pressured into using gear to keep up. So basically, instead of admitting to using gear, you're more okay with giving your 66,000 followers severe body dysmorphia. And I think the ironically sad part about all of this is that all these teens are using steroids because they think it'll get them girls. But I'm almost 100% willing to bet my life savings that people like the Trend Twins only appeal to the male gaze. They all think it's gonna be shake your dreads, ladies, I'm on my work type shit. But it's really gonna be shake your dreads. Did I stutter? Because I have only ever seen men make posts like these.
Teenagers lie about their age just to fight in World War II, but you are too scared to take SARMs.
Come on, guys. Kids in the 1940s volunteered to be at risk of having lead in their bodies. You can do them one better and make sure that lead gets in your body. But young men's body image issues spread further than just the gym. It's all encompassing at this point. Pursuing Paradise is a quote unquote rage bait page that is literally meant to trigger people with body and facial dysmorphia. That and showing off his love for ABBA. A lot of his videos are purely meant to body shame, and I would totally say that most people realize this if it wasn't for the fact that so many of his videos have tens of millions of views and have some of the most moronic pieces of content, like making fun of babies with clear signs of chronic diseases, or actualizing literal children, or this thing. Hot take, but untrained skinny body is so attractive. Brother, that is literal years of training. I mean, content like this is so idiotic that no one would actually believe it, right? Right?
Getting rid of your wisdom teeth will make you absolutely cooked. Removing wisdom teeth cuts off posterior occlusal loading, which is the pressure your jaw needs to grow forward instead of collapsing backwards and downwards. At the same time, your wisdom teeth are also foundational for cranial integrity, and they're even connected to your nervous system through the trigeminal nerve. You've been sold a lie, you've been sold a scam, and you have to realize the reason why you need to even get your wisdom teeth removed in the first place is purely because you didn't have proper myofunctional habits, diet, and lifestyle environment from birth. Cavemen did not need to get their wisdom teeth removed.
I was a child when I had my wisdom teeth removed. They were all growing in at a 90-degree angle and pushing all of my teeth up against each other. I was born with that. I said in some cases it might be inevitable, but that doesn't mean it couldn't have been avoided if you just had proper habits. It just means you need to practice Myof, that's a fake word, techniques to balance out structural and functional loss. You know, that is exactly what I was missing as a 5-year-old. Crippling anxiety about how I'm eating candy because I won't be able to jaw max 15 years down the line. Yeah, That seems like a normal thing for a 5-year-old to be concerned about. This is Oscar Patel, or as I like to call him, looks maxing Patrick Bateman. Because who else is going to the gym in a button-up shirt? His page claims to improve people's looks by fixing their health. Let's take his word for it now and see what he has in store.
Okay, here it is. I'm going to drop the legendary thumb pulling tutorial. What we're going to do is stand up nice and straight, perfect posture, and tuck your shin deep. Now, from this tucked position, you want to raise your hands open palms, put your thumbs just behind your incisor teeth, and while pushing down, you get the chin tuck. You will get insane bone mass. Your maxilla is going to develop. Is way more effective than me.
New mewing technique. What do you think? Ooh, very nice. Look at that. Picked it up from the algorithm yesterday. Interesting method. That's maxilla bone. The method is something called zygopulling. No, guys. Thumb pulling does not work. There are no scientific studies behind it. And despite the fact that Mr. Patel here can use big words, it does not correlate with him having a big brain. I'm not here to brag or anything. I got my jawline without ever once having to do any of this thumb pulling bullshit. In fact, when I was born, I actually had a massive underbite. So my jawline was probably more impressive before I got braces. But that's not the most concerning thing about this content. The worst of it comes from his videos that compare his new self with his old self. Ugly, short, fat, depressed. No surgery, maxillary growth, Asian growth. I need to be better. Fasted sprints, functional workouts, more sun, circadian rhythm. See, this has always been my philosophy when it comes to self-improvement. It's okay to want to look better. It's okay to want better for yourself. It's okay to want to gain weight or to lose weight. It's fine to have goals for yourself, but only if those goals come from a place of self-love. Mr. Patel's and honestly a good chunk of Gen Z have fitness or looks goals that stem more from self-hate. I too have struggled a lot with this in the past, and honestly I still struggle with it to this day. Look, I'm 6'1" and weigh 185 pounds, and I've been lifting for well over 10 years now, and there are still days that I still struggle very heavily with my own body image. There are days when I wake up, look in the mirror, and hate what I see. Like this morning, when it's filming day and I suddenly have a breakout for no reason. Or some days some bad lighting hits my face and I see my acne scars more than usual. But for the most part, at least for me, whether it was through therapy or self-acceptance or just building confidence outside of my looks, I now have come to love myself for who I am. And that self-love is now what drives me to want to be better. And we can go into the conversation where people are always saying, looks don't matter. That's not really true. I think it's actually pretty disingenuous to say to someone that is concerned about their looks to say that their concerns aren't valid, because they are. Scientific studies have actually shown that people are treated differently based on how they look. All that to say is physical attraction does still matter to a degree. That's the key word there. To a degree. I still don't think that should really be an obstacle for you to find true confidence within yourself. Going back to Love Island, Andrina was one of the most objectively beautiful people on that show, if any of the reactions on TikTok were something to go off of. And yet despite that, she was still not able to couple up and was sent home eventually. Because on one hand, there is physical beauty, and on the other hand, there is true beauty. And what is true beauty? True beauty is not BBLs, or Chad-like jawlines, or having pillows that give you cheek and chin fillers. True beauty is self-acceptance. True beauty is belief in yourself. True beauty is, even though you can acknowledge that there are areas in your life that you can work on, knowing that you still have an unshakable confidence within you. Confidence that is so strong that nobody's opinion, whether it's about your looks, whether it's about the way you dress, whether it's about the way you eat spaghetti like you're huffing glue, will shake you. And whenever I'm feeling down about something like this, I always go back to this one Ted Lasso quote. Believing that things can get better, that I can get better, that we can get better. To believe in yourself, to believe in one another, That's fundamental to being alive. And if each of you can do that, man, can't nobody take that away from you. Anyways, if you made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Okay, bye.